Okay, so I'm going to repeat just because I introduced today's lecture before I started recording, and so I need to repeat that. So for the people who aren't attending the live webinars, they'll know what we're covering today. And I will be covering lesson 2 in the textbook today, and it's a basic overview of HTML. And then in addition to that, what we will be covering is I'm going to take you to my Wix website, and that's what I'm going to ask all of you to do for your first assignment to get started with that on your own. To go ahead and go to Wix.com and sign up for their free website builder. And then I'll talk today about what you need to do with that. And we'll be working on that in the next few weeks, or you will be at home. Okie doke. So let's start with HTML. Talk about, what HTML is and who developed it and when it was developed, what version are we using now, and how to build a very basic website. And I mean basic. Just using text. In fact, right now on my Macintosh, I'm using TextEdit. So to begin with, HTML was never developed to do what we are doing with it, to build these graphically rich websites. It was developed by Tim Berners-Lee in, I think, 1998, 89, in Cern, Switzerland. He's a scientist, and he wanted to make all of his papers and the scholarly papers in other scientific journals and papers available to people throughout the world without having to publish them in printed form. And so he developed hypertext markup language, or HTML, to be able to take a plain page and mark it up. And once it's marked up and saved, you would be able to render it in a browser and make it available to anybody who wants to look at it. And that's what we're going to do today. And I will do my best to show you very simply what HTML looks like and how it works. And then we'll take you to Dreamweaver to show what it does. What we will be doing manually here in TextEdit. If you guys are working on a PC, use a really basic text editing, whatever the basic text edit program is on your computer. Let me show you in TextEdit though what I had to do to be able to save it, because right now the default settings in TextEdit on a Mac automatically save it in rich text format, and I don't want to be able to do that. I just want it as raw as possible. So to give you an idea that HTML, there's a series of tags, that's what these are called, that bracket the text that I want to display in the browser, and it gives it the browser clues, or it instructs the browser using a proper syntax of how I want to display it. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. If you were to look on your text in your textbook, page 57 and 58, as well as some in 59, there's a little over 100 frequently used HTML tags. And do you have to memorize them all? No, but throughout the semester, you will become familiar with many of them. Some of them you will use all the time, and some of them are used, once in a blue moon. The structure of HTML is, I wish this was my metaphor or my analogy. It's not mine. It was by a fellow that I had watched some videos years back on lynda.com, but I really, really liked it. Think of an HTML page like a sandwich, okay? That's the metaphor, a sandwich. So to have a sandwich, you need 2 slices of bread. And it's not an open-faced sandwich, so it's just a regular old sandwich. So if you look at the page that I have, that I've created here using TextEdit, the first tag that I have here, the way tags work is that there's an opening tag and a closing tag. The opening tag has a left bracket, and then what I have is HTML, and then a right bracket. The closing tag looks very similar, but it has a backslash here. Okay, so if you look at the title, if you look at HTML, and the closing tag at the very end, HTML, that's what the opening and closing tags look like. And then you need to, if you're not familiar, look at the tags, the HTML tags on pages in your textbook, and then you can begin to implement some of them. Well, the sandwich that I'm talking about is that if you think of HTML itself, that the opening tag and the closing tag for HTML are the 2 slices of bread. Then within the sandwich, you typically have the meat and the cheese and really the core of your page, the substance of it. That would be contained within the body tag. So you'll see here, I have a body tag. There's the opening tag right here. And then I have a closing tag down here. Does it need to be all the way down here? No. But all of the basic content, in fact, I can close some of that up right now so you can maybe see a little bit better. But again, here's the opening tag and the closing tag that are contained within the opening and closing tag of HTML. And then you're going to have other elements in your sandwich. You might have mustard, you might have mayonnaise, you might have pickles, those sorts of things that are sort of, that embellish the sandwich, but are not really at the core of it. You can have a sandwich without them, but they dress the sandwich up a little bit and make it a little bit tastier. Well, that is what is included in the head of the document, and that is up here. So right after the opening tag that you'll find in an HTML page, you'll find the opening tag for the head. And then after that, again, I have a closing tag for the head. And you'll notice that one of the tags that I have inside the head of the document would be the title of the page. And I named mine first page. Okay. And then within the body itself, you'll notice that I have two sentences here, where I have a title and a sentence, my first web page, and then it says web page or web design is fun, ... and easy. Okay, so that's contained. This is the meat of and cheese of my sandwich here. Now, in order to publish this, I need to save it as an HTML file. Okay, and using the naming structure that I talked about for your images, you would do the same for an HTML page. So before I save it, I'm going to go ahead and to make sure that everything is correct here in my TextEdit, and you're probably going to have to do this in yours as well, is you go to Preferences, and I'm going to go to New Document, and instead of rich text, I want plain text. And then for all of these other things, I like showing the rulers, but all of the other stuff, I uncheck everything. And the same with open and save. I uncheck all of those elements as well. So it's just as plain text as you can imagine. And now what I can do is I can go to File and Save. Okay, so once I've changed those preferences, you can start a new file or you can quit and then open TextEdit back up, or your basic text editing program, and then it should, those preferences should, change preferences should be working now. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to select Save. And I've already saved it as firstpage.html. Okay, so if I want, I can rename this, and I'll just, let me go ahead and I'm going to rename it. Yeah, I'm going to rename it 01, because I did another one earlier, okay? So, oh, come on, let me go back here. Let's go File, Rename, _01. There we go, so a tab key, now it's renamed. Now what I can do is I can open up my browser. So let's go ahead, and I have a Safari browser here. Now I need to create a new page here, Command N for new. Okay, so it's just blank. And so now what I can do is I can go to File, and I can open the file, and saved on my my desktop, I have that first page.html, and I can go ahead and open it. And you can see in little tiny type, there it is, up in the upper left-hand corner. So if I zoom in on this a little bit, so you can see it a little bit more easily, you can see what's going on here. You don't see the tags any longer. You don't see the head of the document, but where you do see the title of the page, it says first page up here, that's where that will apply, or appear, is in the tab, if you're using tabs in your browser. So that's where that is located. But you'll notice a few other things that have happened here. I had my first page on two separate, and web design is fun and easy, on two separate lines, and now it's on one line. It doesn't detect the difference in space, and it doesn't detect the separation of lines unless you indicate and place them within the, use the proper syntax and place them and structure them properly using the correct tags. And also notice that I had several spaces between ... and easy. So now what I need to do is let's go ahead and let's dress this up a little bit. Let's first go ahead and separate the lines. So probably to do that, let me bring text edit back up. There we go. So to separate the lines, what I need to do is I need to put each of these in their own paragraph tag. That would be the correct response to this. So I'm going to go ahead, and a paragraph tag is a P tag. Okay. And then after my first page, I'll put in a closing tag, P, for P tag. Okay. So again, that's left bracket, backspace, P, bracket, right bracket. So my first page is now contained within that. To be correct about this, I probably should put web design is fun and easy in its own paragraph tag too, but I could use just the BR for line break, but I am going to go ahead and put it in its own paragraph, just because that is in the correct syntax that you would use. Okay. Now, when I talk about syntax, it's no different than when you are writing a paper for your English class, or you're creating a document for your history class, a research paper, that when you start a sentence it begins with a capital letter and it ends with the sentence ends with a period. And you can break up sentences for various reasons using commas and semicolons and things like that. Well, that's exactly what all of these tags do. So now what I can do is I can save this like so. And let's go back to the browser again. I got to find that. Let me hide Dreamweaver so I don't get confused here. And I'm going to hide this one too. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm going to hide this one too. And let's go ahead and refresh the page. So to do that, I'm going to come up here and click on this little button here. And now you'll see, because I put each one of those in their own paragraph tag, they are separated. Okay. So the next step, let's go ahead and add some space between the ... and easy. since it closes up space, even though you put it in the text edit, it doesn't, and this goes back to when Tim Berners-Lee first developed HTML, is that he wanted, you know, internet speed was very slow, excuse me. And so, and hard drive space was at a premium and that sort of thing. So you had to be very efficient and condense. So you didn't want to add anything that was unnecessary. So what I'll do is I'll come back here again. And right after the ... what I'm going to use, and there is, for a non-breaking space, it can be done a couple of different ways. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in here, it's an ampersand, and it is, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, ampersand, and then it is a pound sign or octothorpe, whatever you want to call it, and then 160. And then I use a semicolon. Semicolons in code are like a period at the end of a sentence. It's the end of an instruction. So if I want, this indicates one space. Now, do you have to do this when you're working in Dreamweaver or most other web development programs? No, it's done automatically in the background. But if you wanted to code a page by hand, you could do so. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe 5 times. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to save it. And I'm going to come back to the page, and let's go ahead and refresh again and watch what happens. Notice how there's extra space now between the ... and easy. Okay, so let's dress it up a bit more. Maybe I want the title of my page to be larger and to be more pronounced, dominant. That, you know, typically in web design, following again the proper syntax, what they will use are what are called H1 tags or H tag. It's H tags, and it goes H1 through H6. And what those H tags do or determine what is the most important syntactically on the web page and the least important. Typically, I only use H1, 2, or 3, and I never go anything below that. But an H1 tag is generally used for maybe the title, and H2 tags for subtitles, and then P tag would be your text. And if you had anything any smaller, then you could use an H3 tag if you wanted to. So again, I'll go back here and let's open up text edit again. And where I have my first page, I want that to be larger. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put, again, a left bracket, H1, and right bracket. And then the closing tag for that would be H1. Whoops, I got to put the left bracket, forgot. And H1. And you know what? I'm messing up here. Here's my right bracket. But I forgot the closing tag here. I forgot the backslash right there. There we go. So there we go. So I have, for my first page, I want that text to be larger. So H1 would be the largest text tag, H1 or H tag that I could use. So that's going to be at H1. So again, I'll save it. I'll come back here and let's go ahead and refresh the page. And there you go. So now that's making my first page much, much larger. Okay. So let's do a few other things. Let's say, for example, we wanted fun and ... to be in bold. So what we might want to use for that would be a strong tag. Strong instead of bold. Why they developed that, I don't know. but that's what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and make that a strong tag. And again, it's one of those things that you just over time, you just remember, and that's it. So I want it to be fun at the end of fun, and the dot, dot, dot. So now I'll make this, there we go, strong. So, and at the same time, maybe I want the word and easy, the words and easy to be in italic. So instead of italic, what the term that's used in the syntax and web design often is an M tag for emphasis. So I'll put that in an M tag, EM. And then again, after easy, I'll put a closing tag, EM. Just to let you know right now what version of HTML we're currently using. The latest one is HTML5. And on Thursday, when I start talking about CSS or cascading style sheets, and we start delving into chapter 3, which may take a couple of days, we are using CSS version 3. So let me make sure that that's saved. Let's go back to the browser and refresh. And there you go. Okay. Now, that's about as basic as you can get for a web page. But you'll notice that it is reading correctly in my browser, and it's rendered in the browser. And that's what you have to understand, that browsers, in fact, render the HTML pages. And they do that by making sure that you use the appropriate tags to structure and to define, using the correct syntax of how you want, in this particular case, text to be rendered. It's universal. When Tim Berners-Lee developed in HTML, he did not copyright any of it or anything else. So he made sure that it is open source and free for everybody to use. And that's why you'll find so many different web development programs. That's also why you'll find that sometimes different browsers will render HTML a little bit differently because they might add their own proprietary tag. In fact, back in the day when the early development of web design, one of the, there was a program called Front Page developed by Microsoft. Because you can take this HTML page and we can open it in Dreamweaver, we can open it in any other program. I don't know of any other that I would use right now. But, and it's universal. There's no proprietary code involved. But what some of my students would do is they would take the page that they had developed at school using Dreamweaver. And the reason I chose Dreamweaver a long time ago is because they didn't add any. Adobe, when they began, Dreamweaver didn't add any proprietary tag. But they would take it home and they would open it up in Front Page and then bring it back. And lo and behold, Front Page had added proprietary tag, proprietary code, and their pages would tend to be all messed up. So that was on Microsoft, not on, Dreamweaver's fault. So let's go ahead, and if there aren't any questions, I can take any questions at the moment. Anybody have anything they want to say? No? So check out, it's important that you kind of understand this sandwich metaphor, because it's really fundamental to structuring pages and knowing the basic, how basic HTML works. And to familiarize yourself with the HTML tags, go to page 37, 8, and 39, and just review them from time to time. One of the other things that we could do, just really quick, is, for example, what if I wanted a list in here? I wanted an unordered list. So what I could do after this paragraph tag is I could do that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this an unordered list. So I'm going to go ahead and I want this to be UL for unordered. And I'll put the closing tag for unordered. It's UL. And in between, I'm going to have various list items. I'll put 3 of them. So I want list item 1. Okay. And this is going to be topic 1. Okay. And then now I need a closing tag for list item. And I'll have another list item contained within the unordered list. And this will be topic 2. And I need another closing tag. And I'll have topic 3. So I need another list item. Topic 3. And lists are part of one of our exercises, in fact. And they're used all the time. So let me make sure that this is saved. And I'm going to make all of this a little bit smaller so you can see everything here. It's all saved. Come back here and let's go ahead and refresh the page. And there you go. Notice that each of those topics now are addressed with a bullet point. One of the aspects of, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they're heading tags is what they are. H1 through H6. Those are called heading tags. So typically, this is answering Carlos's question. Yeah, H tags are technically heading tags. And you can have headings H1 through H6. And H1 in the proper HTML syntax is probably the most important element on the page, and an H6 would be the least important. And they don't have to be in descending size, but typically they are. H1 tags or heading 1 tags are the largest element on your page, and H6 would be the smallest. And then again, it's rarely that if I ever use anything less or below an H3. I use H1 and 2 a lot. In our exercises, we will use H1 and 2 an awful lot. And on my page, I've used an H3 now and then. And then the other one would be a paragraph tag, and that's it. Those are generally the different tags that are used to define the different sizes or importance of text on a page. Now, what if I wanted, instead of using bullet points for these topics, if I wanted it to be numerical, then that would be an ordered list. So if I come back here, and again, it's just to familiarize you, with this. So instead of UL, that's unordered list, I would want to use an OL for ordered list. Okay, just changing that, save it, and then we come back here and I go ahead and I refresh. And now you'll see that it goes in successive order, in order that you put it. So 1, 2, and 3, and if I were to add another one, it would be 4 and 5, 6, it knows automatically. Very often, unordered lists are used in web design. Web design is not a place typically where you put 10,000 word essays. It's just not designed for that. The text that you incorporate in your websites and your web design, your web pages is typically short and to the point. And so the bullet points are used an awful lot, and that means that you're going to use an unordered list. Okay. So how does this relate to something that you would see in Dreamweaver? So I've created in Dreamweaver here a brand new empty page. And in Dreamweaver, you can look at code view, you can look at split view, and you can look at live view, where I'm clicking up here. And that's it. Typically, when we're working on the lessons, we look at the pages in split view. And what I did to create this page, I'll go ahead and I'll close it. And this is just the default page that I created. So in Dreamweaver, I'm going to go ahead and go File, New. Okay, and then I have my options here are New Document, Starter Templates, and Site Templates. Okay, and in later lessons, we'll be using these. Okay, that we'll probably be using, we could use Bootstrap templates. We can use site templates that I've already created so far. But we'll be using the starter templates, and we'll probably be using a Bootstrap template. Okay, or responsive starters like so. But I just wanted a new one, and I selected HTML. But notice you can create, if you feel like coding by hand, use CSS documents. You can also create PHP and HTML templates and PHP templates and on and on and on. So I just wanted to create here. I don't want anything new. Notice that the doc type is HTML5. So I'm going to create new. There we go. So if you look at the top, that's our page, but look at the code. And they have added one little thing here. It says exclamation, again, within the left and right bracket, it's exclamation point doc type HTML. So that indicates that you are using HTML5 and not an earlier version. Now, most browsers will read older versions without any problem. In the head of the document where it says meta character UTF-8, that generally means that it's being, this is being created in English, okay? And you'll notice that I already have a title, they already have a title here named Untitled Document. So if I were to do the same thing, I can, in the code view is where I would name this, or I could come down here, let's move this up, and make sure that I have the properties panel visible. So I'm gonna go to Window, and I'm gonna select Properties to make sure that that's visible. Well, Properties is up already. Okay, so let's look here. Okay, so there's the body of the tag. I'm going to start by putting some of this in the code itself. So where it says Untitled Document, I'm just going to highlight that, and I'll put my second page. And then again, within the body, I can click here and add, or I can come back up here, and you'll notice that within that body tag, I can begin to just text. And notice that the body down here is already highlighted down there. So I'm going to say again, just what I had before, you know, web design. I don't know if you can see that well. Oops, I can't spell either. Fun. Dot, and then some space, and then put and easy. Okay, and then let me go ahead and hit the return key up here. And sometimes automatically when you hit the return key, and I look down here, you notice it automatically put it in a paragraph. And above here, you'll notice with that, this is, again, another version of adding that if you want no break space. So they automatically added a paragraph here. But you'll notice that all of this is contained within a paragraph. They knew to do that already. So again, I can come back here in my other paragraph that they already created for us. And I'm going to say new website, or website. This is Dreamweaver website. Website. My keys aren't working here, or I'm not working very well. Okay. And then with this text selected, I should be able to come down here. I don't know how well you can see this, but in my properties panel, right now this is a paragraph tag. That's the format. But if I click here, I can select H1 again. And notice how it gets a little bit bigger. Come down here. Okay, in the next paragraph, and I can put my period. There you go. And if I want, I can go ahead and I can highlight and easy. And then down here, we can add, let's see if I don't have anything I can add. Yeah, we'd have to do it with CSS now, unless I did it by hand. So if I wanted to do that, I wouldn't do that in the finished one, but down here I would go ahead and I would add the M. Well, no, I do have it. It's right here. So let's highlight that again. And no, okay, let's go ahead and highlight it in here. But if I highlight it in the code, notice that it gives me these options down here. So now I can do that, and it automatically added the M tag. Why it won't let me do that up here, I don't know, but notice how it updates it automatically. And then if I come back here with fun, ... and highlight that in the code view. Now I'm going to add bold to that. Okay. Oops, no, I didn't want that. Let's go back. I want fun. There we go. So let's add bold there. There we go. Okay. And likewise, if I wanted to add an unordered list, I can go ahead and I can hit the return key in code view, or I could come back up here in the preview view, and I can hit the return key. And then down here, again, in the properties panel, this is very teeny down here, but you'll notice that's an unordered list. This is an ordered list. So if I click unordered list, I click that. Notice it automatically adds the opening and closing tag for unordered list, and then it automatically adds list item. So if I go ahead and I add a first item, and I'll say item one, look in here. So you'll be going back and forth from live view and code view. So item one, and then when I hit the return key, notice it automatically knows to add another list item. Item two. Hit the return key again, and this will be item three. So it does a lot of this for you without having to put in the code by hand, but at the same time, you need to familiarize yourself with the tags and with the proper structure of HTML, so that if there is a glitch, you can look at it in code view and decide for yourself where there's a mistake. And typically, if you forget, for example, if I forget to put a closing tag here for this list item, let's see if it will do that. Notice that I see in line 15, there's a little red thing here. It's indicated, that means that it's not on line 15, it should be on 14, that there's incorrect structure here. The syntax is wrong, that I forgot to put the closing tag for the list item. Other things that could happen too is that sometimes you will accidentally duplicate a tag, and it will just be hanging there and cause some issues. For the most part, Dreamweaver does a pretty clean job, but oftentimes you're going to want to just work as I am right here in split view, so that I can work with see what it's going to look like in preview mode, and at the same time see what the code looks like down here and make sure that they match and that they look okay. Okay, any questions? That's all I wanted to cover for HTML today. And now I want to switch gears and I want to take you to Wix.com to show you what you need to do. Excuse me. No questions? So in the textbook, there really isn't anything for you to do. If you want to rewatch this video and try this out yourself using some simple text or text edit, if you're working on a Mac, it wouldn't be a bad idea just to play with it a little bit and to experiment. More importantly, though, I do want you to read Chapter 2 and familiarize yourself with HTML5 and the HTML5 tags, which are actually found on page 60. So we have some additional tags in there that weren't available before, that we will be using in the lessons in this book. So let me switch gears here. No questions? No? Okay. So I'm going to switch gears and I'm going to go through here. And this is my Wix page. Now I can take this and I can move this down a little bit, like so. And I can take this, and this is all intuitive. You know, I mean, they don't give you any instructions on how to use this. Okay. I guess maybe there are, you know, if you wanted. But let me walk you through some of it. So let's start with Wix itself. I'm going to go ahead and go to Wix.com. I'm going to show you. So let me create a brand new window here. So Wix. I don't know if any of you have already done this. So let's go back. No, I don't want to go to my site. I just want to go to Wix. That's Wix editor. That's in that. Let me just create a brand new window. Okay. And let's go to Wix.com. See if hopefully it just goes to their homepage. No, because I'm already logged in. I guess I have to log out. So go to their homepage and create an account. And then they'll have several templates from which you can base your website. And you'll notice that this is the dashboard in the one that I've created for myself. And then from here at the very bottom, I can go to edit. I don't want to upgrade. I just want their freebie. And I've used this forever. So I'm going to go to my editor page here. And I can start by adding pages. So to do that, again, there's a series of, when you're in the editor page, you can go to the left side, and here are menus and pages. So if you want to create a menu, okay, I have one here, and you'll notice that I created a home page. I added a new one. I have an about page, and within that is curriculum vitae. Okay, I could, if I want, I have that hidden. Then I have another page for a resume page. I have a portfolio page and I have a contact page. And if you want to add more pages, it's pretty straightforward. We come down here and at the very bottom it says add a page. So now I have a brand new page. Okay, it's brand new and done. And if I want to take that page and I want to get rid of it, I can go ahead and let's take that. And I want to just, no, I didn't want to do that. See, I'm kind of taking this let's go ahead here, and I want to delete the page. There we go, it's to the right. And I'll just delete that new page. There we go. So what you want to do for your website is you need a home page. You want an about page with a little bit of information about yourself. You don't need a CV page. Actually, I can remove that if I want. You do want a resume page. You want a portfolio page, and you want a contact page. Those separate pages. So you want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. So that's that. And once you've created your basic template, or chosen the basic template that they work from, then that's what I've done here. Then you can pick a background. And you can see that I have one of my own backgrounds that I'm using, but if you want to use one of their basic images here, you know, if you're a yoga instructor or something, you can do that. If you like images of the sea, you can incorporate one of those as your background image. If you have one of your own videos, you can bring those in, or if you have one of your own images, which is what I did. You click on there, okay? And then you can take, and these are the images that I have loaded onto my site. So, and again, you'll notice that all of these are JPEGs. Okay. Now, I don't want to upload any of these at this time, so I'll just close that. And if I'm done with this, you can go ahead and close that. Then if you want to add other things, if you want to add interactivity, here's a whole bunch of things if you want to add text. And again, here's what we've done here. Here's a heading, you know, add a heading 3. Now, why that's bigger than heading 1, I don't know. If you want to change fonts from their website, you can do that here. Okay. If you want to add a gallery, you can do that. And there are a whole bunch of pre-built galleries that you can add. That would be the next one. If you want to add apps that are available, you can go to the Wix App Store. You can add, if you have Instagram, you can add your Instagram feed from here by adding their little widget here. You can add Wix forms from here. You just have to kind of hunt and peck through all of this and take your time. You know, you can have the TV on, you can have the radio on, some music or something, and just go through each of these, you know, one at a time. And you can see that I use the photo studio. And if I wanted to use a video maker, I could do that. That's the next one. If you want to start a blog from here and build that in, you can do that as well. So you can add a blog. And the next one, if you want to add bookings, I guess, I've never used that. That's a new element. Okay, and then there's add some marketing tools. So these down here we probably won't need, but you will need to determine what kind of a template you want to use. And you also need to determine, you know, add the, you know, just begin by adding blank pages. And this, you know, slow but sure. There we go. Add what you need. And you can see that all of this is sort of intuitive. I can click on here and I can change the grid structure. And I can select, you know, that's the text that I have for that. Here's my menu, my horizontal menu items. And then when you're ready, you know, and you've changed it, I can go ahead and I can select preview, see how this is going to look. And this is what my final page is going to look like. And I can click on the about page that I've created. Here's my resume page. And they're all basically structured very similar to one another. The portfolio page, you know, I picked one of their little templates and I inserted my own images in here. Okay, and then I have a contact page. I don't think this is my, you know, my best website, but it's one that I wanted to put together quickly just to show, you know, show all of you and all of my classes how easily this can be done. It takes me a little bit longer in Wix because I don't use it very frequently. Then if I were to build this in the next website builder that we're going to use, which is Mobirise, that's even, I think, a little bit more intuitive than this is. It does take you a little bit of time on Wix to figure out where everything is and what it will do. But, and then if you want, because this is responsive, I can switch to my mobile mode to see what this is going to look like. And that's very nice. Okay, I can switch back up here to larger screen. And again, if I switch to my home page, and again, switch to mobile device, you can see what my home page is going to look like on their screen here. Okay. Switch back and forth. So it's pretty intuitive. You can't lose data. You can mess it up, but you can build a website so quickly it doesn't take that long to rebuild or to make corrections. No, this is not the semester one. Wix is the first one. You'll be the answer, Nelson. You will be designing 3 websites in this class. The first one is the Wix website, and that is intuitive, and that is the one that it's online. It's an online site builder, and that's what you're going to start doing now. And you'll have about 3 to 4 weeks to do that, to build your website. And periodically I'll ask you, and maybe in a week or so, to email me a link of what you've accomplished, and we can go over that in class, or I can respond to each of you individually to, give you instructions of how our criticism as to how you should continue or to make what changes you should make with your website. Then the second, and all the while, we're going to be doing lessons in the book and learning Dreamweaver. Okay. As I said, in about 3 to 4 weeks is when the website will be due. Okay, anonymous attendee. Yeah, it'll be due in about 3 to 4 weeks. And then after the Wix website is due, then we're going to switch to Mobirise. And you can download the free version of Mobirise anytime onto your computer at home. But I will give you, like I'm doing now, a very quick, brief demonstration as to how the thing works. Okay. And again, while you're doing the Mobirise website, and that will take us through probably midterm. We'll continue to work on the lessons. And then after we have completed, I think lesson 9 or 10, no, 11, then what we're going to do is we're going to switch gears, and you're going to take the lessons that you've done in Dreamweaver and you're going to publish them, which are a part of your grade. And then you're also going to take and use those as templates on which you will base a 3rd website. The homework for today is to read chapter 2 and 3. Make sure that you read 3, because we're going to go over CSS, or cascading style sheets, on Thursday. And also, I want you to begin your Wix website. So the first thing that you need to do is to create an account with Wix, and take your time and go over it. Just peruse their website and pick a template that you think works for you, and begin building with your splash page. That's the most important part. And then as you're building the website, you're going to have to also create content for it. So that's why I'm giving you 4 weeks. And it will probably take you longer to build the content than the website. Does that make sense to everybody? Any other questions? Nelson, hold on here. Yeah, Nelson, you have a question. Go ahead and unmute. You can talk. Nelson?
That's about 2 out of 3, the Wix and Moby Rise, yeah? Third
Yeah.
one?
The third one will be based on the lessons that we do in Dreamweaver.
Oh, okay, so we're using Dreamweaver for that one.
We have completed all the lessons in Dreamweaver. We're going to use those lessons, those files that you've created, or that website as a template. And you'll then use, using all the tools that we've learned in the lessons, you're going to put in your own content and you're going to revise that website using new rules and CSS and that sort of thing to customize it for your particular need.
All right, so third one's all in Dreamweaver. Got it.
Yeah, the third one is the third. So you'll have a good chunk of the semester, my hope, is to work on the one in Dreamweaver, because that will be the hardest one to do. And at any time during the semester, just to let all of you know, if you want to revise your website, either in Wix or in MobiRise, just email me and let me know that you've updated. And, because I will have suggestions for you for improvement.
Gotcha.
Maybe it's lacking content, or, it's the design from page to page is a little inconsistent, or things like that. Generally, when you set up a template in web design, it's, with the exception of the splash page, it's pretty consistent with each additional page. That, for example, when I here go to my About page, you'll notice that the navigation is still at the top. It doesn't change. It doesn't go to the left. It doesn't go to the right. It doesn't go to the bottom. So the basic structure of a web page is as follows. You have your header, which is at the top of the page. Okay, now that's not to be confused with the head that I talked about earlier. Wait a minute, let me answer another question from Carlos. It doesn't, the theme should be you, but if you don't want to use you and you want to make a website about your dog or cat, or maybe a vacation that you've taken, then fine. But yeah, website should have a theme. Either it's about you or it's about something specific in particular that you can talk about. I've had people in the past who have traveled extensively and made it a website about their travels. I had a student last semester whose family rescued dogs, and she made her website about that. And that's fine by me. I really don't care. But years ago when I developed this class, it was originally intended for artists and designers to be able to be somewhat fluent or familiar with web design so that they could develop a website for them and have a presence on the web. So that's how I basically structure the class. Anyway, where was I at? The basic components of a web page. So you have a header at the top, and generally contained within the header is the logo that if there is one, or it's the name of the website or something of that sort. And it also contains the navigation bar. Then below that, you can have the main content, which is what you see here. Sometimes you will have what is called an aside. You can have a left column or a right column. Those are called asides. You can have a left aside, a right aside. You can have one or the other, or both. You also then, at the bottom here, have what is called a footer. That's what this is. That's the basic structure of all websites these days. And there are HTML5 tags now that address that you can have a header tag, an aside tag, main content, and then you can also have a footer tag at the bottom. And that, when we start working on, I believe it's lesson 4 or 5, we will actually be doing that. to build the basic structure of our web page from the ground up. But when you're working in Wix or MobiRise, you don't have to do that. But you should be somewhat familiar with the basic structure of how web pages work. So again, if I go to my resume page, it's the same thing. I just made them all identical. I made the background the same. I made the structure the same. The content is the only thing that changes. You know, think about looking at a magazine or a newspaper or a book. They don't significantly change the structure of the page or the book from page to page to page or from chapter to chapter to chapter. It would be too confusing for the viewer. So the initial setup of your website is really critical. You know, what basic template are you going to follow? What colors are you going to use? What styles of text, what sizes are you going to use? And then you can add pages and add the appropriate content. So that's fundamentally how that works. And I will be talking about the header and the sides, and the main article goes in the middle, and footer and that sort of thing a lot, because that will be a part of our lessons in the textbook. So I hope I haven't confused you guys too much today. Web design, I guess, is fun. It can be very complicated. It is today. It's getting more and more complicated. But that's why I'm having you design your initial web page or website using Wix, because it's intuitive, it's online. You don't have to worry about any HTML, any coding at all. It's all done in the background. MobiRise is pretty much the same, only it's drag and drop. And then it's easy to edit the individual little components that you add. And it's easy to you know, remove them, to rearrange them without much muss or fuss. But when you're building the website from the ground up, as we are in Dreamweaver, it gets really complicated. It's not simple. And even though I've done this a long time, from time to time, if I'm not careful, I can get lost in myself. So I have to be very careful. Okay, so are we good for today? Everybody knows what you need to do. If you haven't read chapter 2 yet, read that, and read chapter 3 for Thursday. Create an account on Wix and start laying out and developing content for your first website. Okie doke. So if that's it, I think, let me check here. I'm going to go ahead and say good. Don't leave just yet, but I want to stop recording. So I'm going to say goodbye for now to the recording, and that I will see everybody Thursday, and we're going to continue with chapter 3 on CSS. In the meantime, though, I want to continue taking roll to see who's here, because a few of you have added since I initially took roll, and then we'll be good. So I'm going to go ahead and there we go. I'm going to pause the recording.